Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our panel discussion event today. I'm Rebecca Cardona, a youth worker with Aġenzija Żgħażagħ, and it is an absolute pleasure to be here as we launch the 5th edition of the Youth4Entrepreneurship contest, which is scheduled to take place in November. Its primary goal is to encourage and support young people on their entrepreneurship journey, which will foster their innovation and also creativity. This year's contest will focus on the theme of Spaces for Youth, which will provide an opportunity for participants to express their ideas related to Gozo. Our intention with this panel discussion today is to inspire and motivate young people to take part in this wonderful contest and more importantly, to explore your own potential as entrepreneurs. By engaging in this conversation, we aim to explore this important topic and take a look at details which is related to the contest as well. This launch today has the privilege of hosting a diverse panel, as you can see, of speakers who will share their valuable insights and experiences with us. Mr. Daniel Borch, the CEO of the Gozo Business Chamber and the mind behind this contest, Mr. Jesmond Buttigieg from EUROPE DIRECT Gozo. Together with a group of Gozitan young people, we have Daniel Sultana, Lara Sultana, Nicholas Dingley, Enzo Giordanella, and Casey Caruana. In addition to the insights you'll gain from our speakers today, we strongly encourage you to seize this opportunity, which is presented by the Youth4Entrepreneurship contest. This contest is designed to offer comprehensive support, mentorship, and also resources to transform your ideas into valuable projects. So now, on that note, I would like to introduce Mr. Jesmond Buttigieg from EUROPE DIRECT Gozo for his introductory remarks. On mute.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. First of all, as I was saying, I would like to thank you all for accepting our invitation. Main scope of this meeting is, as Rebecca said, to launch the Youth4Entrepreneurship event. Main aim of this event is to listen to your ideas and, where possible, act accordingly. Often students, you come up with certain innovative ideas that won't even cross our adult minds. I'm Jesmond, and I work at EUROPE DIRECT Gozo. That is hosted by the Gozo Business Chamber. One of the most effective means to reach and engage in dialogue with the Maltese citizens is, in fact, the network of EUROPE DIRECT. We form part of a network of more than 100 information centers in the European Union. We are financed by the European Commission with the overall objective of providing citizens with easy access to information about the EU and its activities. In fact, in Malta, there are 3 European Direct Centers, which are designated to offer this service. There are 2 in Malta and 1, obviously, us in Gozo. Main role, as I have already said, is to provide information, provide assistance where needed, to students, especially to students, and answer questions about the EU. In fact, we have queries and complaints, which we then pass on to competent departments so that these are seen and solved if possible. We at EUROPE DIRECT organize these events, seminars, webinars. In fact, we had a very informative webinar about data analytics about 2 months ago. If you want to see it again, you can go on our website, it's there. 21st April, if I'm not mistaken, we had a seminar about work-life balance. We also have information sessions, debates, and can also channel citizens' feedbacks to our EU institutions. We also have publications, which are here at the EUROPE DIRECT Gozo offices for this dissemination multi-public. So, one of European Union main targets is obviously the environment. And that is why we are promoting the Green Deal amongst the 27 European countries. Green Deal is a set of actions with very ambitious measures, ranging from cutting of greenhouse gas emissions to investing in cutting-edge research and innovation to preserve Europe's natural environment. As you all know, as we are aware of, unfortunately, we have the problem of the climate change and its repercussions, which is being felt throughout the whole world. Youth, you are today's voice, and that is why we are here today to promote our next Youth for Entrepreneurship event. As Rebecca rightly said, this is the 5th edition. We are giving the possibility for you youths to share your ideas, your business ideas, which must be sustainable and environmental friendly, and always having Gozo in mind. The thematic this year is Spaces for Youth. In Gozo, it was, and it still is, a problem which was never tackled to the full. Because the youth, in fact, have a limited space where they can enjoy themselves, meet and interact, and that is a problem in itself. We will get into that in more detail in a while. Thank you for now.
Thank you, Mr. Jesmond Buttigieg, for that introduction. And now let the panel discussion commence. And my first question is to you again, Mr. Jesmond Buttigieg. What do you understand by entrepreneurship, and what are the opportunities for young entrepreneurs today? And also, how can we best support them in their endeavors?
Thank you, Rebecca. Yes, well, the literal meaning of entrepreneurship is to create, is to start something new. Why not start a new business? Bearing in mind the risks there is when creating a new business, but also the possibility of making profit. Successful entrepreneurs have to be passionate about their work, very important. Always forward-driven, very ambitious, and willing to face risks, whatever it takes. Entrepreneur has to be hardworking and dedicated. Always ready to tackle all that comes to his or her way. Well, always prepared for the worst. That's the truth. But entrepreneurs are their own bosses. So resulting in flexibility in his or her career, in his or her life, and obviously self-satisfaction. There's a difference between a businessman and an entrepreneur. Businessman is there to make profit. Entrepreneur also wants to make profit, obviously, but then there's the self-satisfaction of creating something new. In a nutshell, businessman has to be, entrepreneur has to be passionate, very important, as I said, motivated, knowledgeable, self-confident, which is very, very important, has vision, wide vision, not adverse to risk, with sound financial management, and that is why we're going to give some training about that, and a good decision ability, good decision ability. Entrepreneurs today have a better chance to succeed. Why? Because today we've got technology, which helps a lot. We are connected, we are all connected, and that makes the entrepreneur, that gives him more chance to sell his idea, not only in Malta, but also worldwide, making this business more profitable, and therefore more worthwhile to go for it. What we do at EUROPE DIRECT Gozo and Gozo Business Chamber, that is why we are here. That is why we are here for the entrepreneurs. Want to help entrepreneurs to show their skill, their ability. This is why we're having this event. We are giving them the chance to think outside the box. Very important. They have to think outside the box. And if they have a good, robust idea, then they can go for it. In fact, we are giving our youth the chance to show their ideas. We are going to coach them, us and Aġenzija Żgħażagħ. We are going to train them, give them advice, how to plan, how to manage, and how to formulate their idea. As you already said, this is the 5th edition. And as past experiences show, we are on the right track. We have Daniel here, Sultan, today, who last year came to us and to Aġenzija Żgħażagħ. He did his pitch successfully, and he's back this year again. He wants more. So I urge all those who have a good idea to come forward. Who will help you do the rest? Thank you.
Thank you. And also you have mentioned, apart from the encouragement and the passion that you have mentioned, you mentioned also risks. And now I would like to ask Mr. Daniel Borch, what are the specific challenges now that young entrepreneurs face in Gozo? And maybe you can mention how do these differ from those faced by young entrepreneurs in Malta as well?
I believe that the specific challenges faced by young entrepreneurs in Gozo are also the standard difficulties faced by any Gozotan entrepreneur. That is the fact that we are an island dependent on another island. Consequently, depending on the type of business you have, there are problems related to transport between the two islands. And the other difficulties that any Gozotan entrepreneur faces because of that. Setting up in Gozo is always difficult due to its limited size, and it would be difficult for any potential entrepreneur to consider only Gozo as a potential market. But I think that today, especially in today's world, location is only an obstacle that we create. Last year, we had a very successful entrepreneur who was one part of our sessions that we delivered, who set up his IT company in Gozo, but is now operating globally. So success depends on the frame of mind that you have. But the difficulties are there, because you have to catch a plane, if you have to meet a client, so physically. So the geographical difficulty is always there. However, from my encounter with young entrepreneurs and also from my discussions leading to this event, I would indicate the following, which are real and also that we as a chamber would like to see also. And that is why we are doing the Youth4Entrepreneurship, because we want to combat also these difficulties. But I would earmark these difficulties. Basically, the lack of an environment which is conducive to entrepreneurship. And when I say environment, I do not only mean the physical environment, but also the social aspect. There is, for example, no incubation center on the island, and that is a difficulty. So there is the social aspect, and the social aspect means that you have a frame of mind where people have difficulties in accepting. If you see the challenges of the Gozotan economy, you would see, for example, that you have an economy which is over-reliant on public sector employment. And that means that we still do not have the security to verge into entrepreneurship. We have that fear of failure. And perhaps as islanders, because we are constantly faced with these challenges, we have these mental obstacles that refrain us. Also, perhaps from our parents, from the people around us. I recount the person that we invited today. His company is operating globally, and he works also with a global company. And he's telling us, his father used to tell him, so what are you doing? So the obstacles are also social. But posing the questions, how we on our part are going to encourage young entrepreneurs to face these difficulties. And I would, one, by promoting entrepreneurship education and training programs in our school. And I believe that this should start early. In Malta, there are already programs. There is a very successful program, for example, conducted also by the J Foundation. And I would also see, who is also our partner, that perhaps even us as a chamber in the future would be able to conduct such entrepreneurship sessions, even starting from a very young age. And one, also for young entrepreneurs, establish networking events and platforms where young entrepreneurs can connect with potential customers. And that is something that we as a chamber are also working on it. From a policy perspective, I believe that there needs to be, we need to create funding opportunities, especially directed for young people. But there is also the need for the physical space. If you go, for example, to Malta, you would see the Cordean Incubation Center. And we do not have such an incubation center, such co-hosting spaces which would not, the rent would not be so high, where a young entrepreneur can just rent a desk for the time being, or have a small space at a very beneficial rate. Also, perhaps there are business support services, but there are some of the business support services where you have to go to Malta. So perhaps having more accessible business support services here in Gozo. But also, I think one of the things that we need to do if we are to combat these difficulties that I mentioned is to raise awareness about the potential opportunities and benefits of entrepreneurship on the island. Perhaps through promotional campaigns and initiatives, which can highlight also success stories like the one I mentioned. And perhaps also the unique advantages of starting a business here in Gozo. It's more tranquil, it's more peaceful. Also, if you are from Gozo, it can be near your family. So, so this perhaps we can see, for example, on our part, on EUROPE Direct, on the Gozo Business Chamber, we have this very successful collaboration with Aġenzija Żgħażagħ. But for example, such collaborations can also go also with educational institutions and local organizations. We have also a very good collaboration with the Gozo Regional Development Authority, who sees the benefit of such an initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. So you mentioned the challenges and also how we can encourage young people in Gozo to start their businesses, and also some of the resources and support systems that need to be in place to ensure this success. But now we are very curious, since you are the mind behind this contest, how did this idea originate and what is its scope? As we know that this is one of the initiatives being held annually in Gozo, the Youth4Entrepreneurship contest.
It was a very interesting discussion that we had within the chamber, because being a chamber, obviously, our events are targeted to businesses. But putting myself the questions, I started to ask, but we are always tackling the same people. We were seeing many youth who were going to Malta. Now, let's be clear, the contest is open to all residents on the Maltese Islands. It's not only open for Gozans, but I was seeing many youth going to Malta. So I asked myself, we asked ourselves, every year we do a particular event related to the SME week. But the reality is that all our events are tied to business people. And you ask the question, why not do something different? Why not do something that we can entice younger generations to consider entrepreneurship as a choice of life, as a frame of mind? Because we were seeing that even our generation within the Gozo Business Chamber was getting old. And it was important to not only work on the present, but also work on the future. When it first started, we just had only one contestant, but we went all the same. It was a very beneficial experience for the youth participating, and now it's become an annual event. We are learning each year, both we and Aġenzija Żgħażagħ, because it's not only about simply doing the event, about meeting, about seeing what we can do. But there were also similar events. And what we wanted to do differently in this event, because it is also something that we noticed in youth, especially the Gozan youth, is that sometimes they lack the confidence living on a small island for a long time, and then going to Malta or it is difficult. It's something that we felt when we were youth, and we wanted to instill in them the confidence as well. So I'll explain later as well. We don't announce winners on the day. On the day, it's simply a celebration of your ideas.
That is really interesting, even where it started with one contestant, and now we're at the 5th edition as well. And speaking of youth, we have young people on our panel discussion today, and this the question that I'm going to pose now is directed towards you. So this year's Youth4Entrepreneurship team will focus on spaces for young people in Gozo. And I would like to ask you, what is the impact of the lack of youth spaces on young people in Gozo? And how can this affect their personal and social development? Also, what are the potential benefits now of investing in such spaces? Maybe Nicholas Dingley would like to start first.
Sure. I'll start with what I found regarding the question of what are the challenges and what are the impacts of the lack of youth spaces in Gozo is that many youths have started to seek alternatives to this lack, and many usually go to local parish youth groups, which are basically focused on that locality. And due to this mindset that they only go to their own locality, and many of the youth activities will be, of course, focused on that particular village, and they won't spread out further. And I think that the creation of a youth space would be beneficial to lessen this gap between localities and have a more of a collaborative ambience for Gozitan youths to go, visit and work. Because outside of these youth groups, the only place which comes to mind where Gozitan youths meet on a Gozitan level is at school. And when they are at home, they only have for example, other voluntary organizations where they can collab with other youths from the island. So I think personally that funding and investing in a youth center or youth spaces would be beneficial for this sort of thing.
Thank you for that interesting insight as well, Nicholas. And maybe you would care to comment. We have Enzo, Casey, and Lara as well on the panel. Would like to go first? Lara, yes.
So I will be talking about some benefits. So youth spaces, as Nicholas said, by providing such youth spaces, it could avoid risking a gap between not only localities, but even nationalities. So for example, between foreigners and locals who tend to separate. I'm sure Enzo would like to comment on that after I provide the benefits. But youth spaces, it can cultivate such a strong sense of community and belonging, because people from diverse backgrounds can come together and they can share experiences and build meaningful connections. Such youth spaces, they can bring cohesion and Gozo, and provide a lack of isolation because everyone's integrating together. And that way we're breaking down barriers of prejudice by bringing diversity and also cross-cultural collaboration and dialogue. Like if you're reducing these feelings of isolation, of course, it can also promote mental health. So young individuals, they would be offered a supportive and nurtured environment. So people in such spaces, so for example, the Youth Hub in the Sixth Form Gozo, it allows self-expression, stress relief, personal growth. A lot of benefits would come to such an input. So outside of that, it also provides essential life skills needed outside of school. So as Nicholas said, when there's only school involved, they're obviously going to be just studying the necessary syllabus. But by providing youth spaces, they could learn things that they would need in the workplace. So for example, communication skills, leadership, by actively participating within their community. So those are some of the benefits.
Thank you, Lara. And also mentioning life skills and also important topics such as mental health with regards youth spaces as well in Gozo. And I know that you also mentioned that Enzo might have some comments in relation to what you were saying. Maybe Enzo, you would like to comment on this?
Yes, so thank you. So similar into what Lara identified, as a group, we looked at different how we felt youth spaces in Gozo were lacking, how we felt ourselves, we were lacking outlets. And one of the things that we identified was Nick identified it through parishes, a sort of separation between parishes and a lack of collaboration there. But we identified it, and I myself identified it through nationalities. And essentially, one of the issues that we find lacking is that the main social outlet for youths our age and slightly younger than us is the education system and school. And you're essentially taking an entire population whose only common interest is, their only common feature is their age. And then you're forcing them into essentially like the same place of work with the same uniform and the same regime. And it can feel, secondary schools and the like, it can feel quite repressive. And then if you have a child or children, youths who don't necessarily find as valuable support system, as stable a support system at home, then they can be left with very little to, as far as social life, they could be left with very little to latch on to other than perhaps friends at school. And essentially youths will inevitably influence each other, and even more so if they are lacking a stable environment at home. So an aim would be to establish spaces in which youths can interact with each other outside of school, outside of the school system, because we do have extracurricular activities such as music and drama, for example, the visual and performing arts school, but it's still delivered in that system of extracurricular education. So essentially, two key issues that can be identified is, one is integration between nationalities, so between foreign students and local Maltese students, creating a common bond between them so that we avoid tribalism and individualistic partisan attitudes, which Nick identified within parishes. And another approach would be to ensure that youths are able to express themselves in a more relaxed way outside of the curriculum, outside of the education system, so that they can still interact with their peers, but that their only alternative to interact outside of the education system would be, loitering on a street or in a park. The idea is to, similar to the youth hub that we have at the sixth form, it would be to approach things with a more relaxed attitude. So you can still do drama, you could still do art, you could still do music, but it doesn't have to come as a lesson. It can come as a common interest. It can build relationships through a common medium, common interests, a general relaxed kind of.
So youth spaces outside of an educational system, so to
exactly,
speak.
youth spaces outside of the educational system that still deliver interests, so that youths can support each other, can influence each other in a positive way. But definitely those sort of spaces we're lacking, which is where I'd like to pass on to Casey.
Okay, well, you've covered most of what we were going to say. So yeah, basically youth need a positive space with positive peer-to-peer influence where they can express themselves in a non-stressed way. So there's no need for exams. Yeah, it's just, you don't have to stress about learning. So you can do some art, just scribble on a paint, and the group can come together and decide what they want to do. If they want to go play a game of volleyball or go down to the beach, have a walk. Just a place where they can come together, interact, learn about each other, culture, and establish a community where they can they don't feel isolated, like maybe foreigners who come and they don't know people, and already they are going to be categorized as foreign and left out. They
Or
don't know the language.
segregated and their own nationality or,
So
okay.
it can help them find people that they can connect with and ease like the stress that can come with that.
Thank you very much. I don't know if Lara or Nicholas would want to add on this question. No, okay. And I didn't leave Daniel Sultana out because I have a different specific question to Daniel. So what role can young people now play in this process of creating more youth spaces in Gozo? And also you can touch upon the potential benefits of investing in such spaces.
Yes, young people actually play a crucial role in this movement of young spaces. And so in creating more youth spaces, they are the voice of reason nowadays. There are several ways that young people can actually contribute to creating more youth spaces in Gozo, such as advocacy, speaking up, and creating more public knowledge about these problems. And they can also organize campaigns, they can engage with local authorities and community leaders. They can also collaborate with youth organizations like Aġenzija Żgħażagħ, where they can build a strong case for investing in youth spaces. And these investments in youth spaces aren't without any good reason. They actually can have numerous benefits for both young people themselves and the wider community, because this can serve as a place where you can expand your social connections, and they also give the opportunity to develop your skills and learn new skills too, and interests, which can lead to personal growth and also empower young people nowadays, and also become contributors to their community, which nowadays I feel like is a bit lacking. So this can empower young people, get them more self-confidence and more involved in such activities.
Thank you. And also, Mr. Jesbon Buttigieg mentioned this at the beginning. You, Daniel Sultana, you participated in last year's Youth4Entrepreneurship contest. And now I would like you to encourage those young people and inform them how was your experience being in the contest, and what skills can one gain by participating in this contest?
So my experience was quite eye-opening, I would say. I've never had anything like it. I personally never thought I would be into entrepreneurship or public speaking, really, in general. And so that's why I really recommend, even though people may think that it's not for them, I would say give it a go, see how it goes, and at least try it out. Because I was in that same position where I didn't think it was for me. And now this participation that I did last year in the entrepreneurship contest has led me to even more opportunities in several different sectors, and has opened many, many more doors for me where I can consider future paths that I can take. So these opportunities are really one of the best ways to teach yourself skills that are extremely helpful in life. So these are like leadership, for example, and self-confidence. Communication skills are all very important for when you get a future job and when you are doing such business deals, and especially entrepreneurship. So participating in such contests is one of the best ways to actually learn and continue to develop these skills while also learning new skills at the same time.
Thank you for that wonderful insight, Daniel, as well, since you have already participated in the contest. And I really hope that everyone got the message to try new things, get out of their comfort zone, and obviously learn and gain these life skills that you were mentioning, which are very beneficial, such as public speaking and communication, and the others that you were mentioning as well. Okay, I don't know if you have any comments, the young people on the panel discussion. I would like to give you the floor if you want to. No? Okay. So thank you very much for your insights. And now I would like to invite Mr. Daniel Borges, the CEO, to deliver more information about the Youth4Entrepreneurship contest, and also close off this panel discussion event with his concluding remarks. Thank you.
So I will be sharing my screen. Okay. All right. So there was supposed to be Jennifer. I left her name there because Jennifer also puts her soul into this contest. She believes in it. She could not be with us today, but I wanted to acknowledge her very valid contribution and her passion also in this contest, because at the end it is that it benefits youth. So as Rebecca rightly mentioned, we are in the 5th edition of the Youth4Entrepreneurship Gozo event. Basically, you have to share business ideas which are related to Gozo. And our main goal is to instill confidence in young people. That is why there is a prize to this contest, obviously, like any contest. But our intention is that, as Daniel mentioned, you go there, we open doors for you, you are able to network, you see talent that perhaps you thought you were not capable of. And that is the scope. It is to instill confidence in young people. So we want everyone to have a positive experience. So on the day, we don't announce any winners. We celebrate all the youth who participate. We want to provide them with a platform for the event, and we continue to expose their ideas also throughout the days after the contest. What is the theme? The theme is the subject that we spoke about during this webinar. And it is about spaces for youth. And in Gozo, we have a lack of such spaces. And in fact, this idea did not come from us. It was the same youth that last year suggested that we tackle the idea for spaces for youth for this year's Youth4Entrepreneurship. But a space is not simply a space, and the British used the word mesmerized hearing your discussion. I really enjoyed hearing the discussion for you, that this element came out, that we are not simply talking about a physical space, but we are talking about spaces where people interact, where people have a connection. And this is something which is important. This is important for us, and especially for youth. And there are some criteria that we want these spaces to have. First, that it must be a safe space, accessible for all. It is very important. Sustainable. If you have followed us during the last year, sustainability is also one of the main themes. This is because we are collaborating with our office, also with EUROPE Direct, and the European Commission has set this topic of sustainability as one which is important for the world globally, but the European Union is working on it. So for us, sustainability is always a topic which underlines all the contests so far, and especially that it is youth friendly. So this is the logo for this year. I really thank Gianluca, who decided he had to be with us today, and he worked on it as well. So I really thank him for this logo and for this input. And there you have people discussing, people putting up ideas, people interacting, youth interacting, and that is what a space should be about. So what are the criteria? If you go into our website, if you go into Gozo Business Chamber events, you see there that we have everything about this event that we are going to do on the 3rd of November. But in a nutshell, is that your idea has to be applicable to the Gozo context. Obviously, there needs to be an innovative approach. Thirdly, there needs to be the ability to solve a potential problem or to cater for a specific need. So when you have to do your pitch, you have to explain that. And the need is that, as you explained very, very well during the interventions of these youth, there is the need for such a space in our island, and obviously the quality of the pitch, which is very important. Who is eligible to apply? All youth aged between 16 and 35. They should be residents in the Maltese Islands. So you can be a foreigner, or you can be residing on the main island of Malta. The important thing is that you are a resident on the Maltese Islands. So it does not preclude everyone, every youth who is resident on the Maltese Islands can apply. Obviously, the idea must be strictly related to Gozo. It is a problem, it is an issue that we have identified for our island, that is the need for a space where youth can interact. And obviously, this is important. People can go in individually, but we've had experiences of groups of youth, both a group of friends or even a youth group from one of the parishes, for example, who think together to present their idea. And in that case, it is also a very valid and important experience. Daniel participated last year, and those who came to our event, you can also see, as Jasmine mentioned, past events on YouTube. It is a very nice event. So it is nice to experience it. So it's not simply about, obviously it entails work, but it is also a very impactful experience. You will benefit from it, and also you will enjoy it, because that's the important thing about it. So how to apply? Obviously, if you go to this section of events on the Gozo Business Chamber, you would see there is everything there, and also there is on Aġenzija Żgħażagħ's website, and you can ask there. You can, obviously, we have a defined date where you submit your idea by not later than Friday, 29th September on this form. But what do you have to submit? You don't need, for now, we just need a 500-word proposal. That is what we need. The pitch, then you do it actually on the day. I just ask them for at least, I have the presentations just a day before, so that obviously for logistical reasons. But obviously, as an idea, we would need to have a 500-word proposal. But I would suggest that possibly you presented earlier. Why? Because that would give us time for us to provide our input. Because, for example, we had a situation last year where one of the ideas that was presented was an idea that had won in previous year. Obviously, the participant was not aware about it, but we contacted him and we said, because one of the criteria is also that an idea does not have to be the same as other ideas that won during previous year. Obviously, we are now speaking of totally different subject this year, so that risk is very minimal. Obviously, we just need a 500-word proposal, not more, must not exceed. So it could be even less, but that would provide us with the ability to provide input, because we're not there simply submitting, but we on our part continuously provide input. We would inform you, as I said, whether your entry is eligible or not. And if you submit a bit earlier, that would give us time for you to resubmit. As I said, this contest is not about we see that you're not eligible, so that's it. No, we say, like last year, that idea had already won in a previous edition. We invited the participant to submit another idea. So you would be able to resubmit a new application. That was only one case, but that happens. This is something which Jennifer had to do, but I'm just introducing it. So Rebecca, even if you want to feel free to intervene on that part, please feel free to do so. Aġenzija Żgħażagħ will be conducting coaching sessions for potential applicants. We are also partnering with J Foundation, and the CEO, Matthew, is very helpful, and he will be conducting a specific sessions on financials. So at this time, you don't need to apply, but just contacting Aġenzija Żgħażagħ to show your interest. And I would suggest there were people who decided not to participate in these coaching sessions, but those who participate were really beneficial to them. Why? The first session, it's about, it's an information session about the contest, planning and drafting a proposal. So it's a very generic session. We are targeting June, but it may be at a later date as well. Then the second session would be about the financials, and the third session would be the actual pitching of the ideas and public speaking. And this is very interesting because we actually, Aġenzija Żgħażagħ there, invite especially youth to do a small pitch. And there we can actually tell you, look, this, that you can emphasize that point more. Obviously, in September, there is the date, the submission of the proposals, and the 3rd of November, we have the actual event. You would tell us, why is there that amount of time? There is that amount of time because we will always be available. The submission, you only need to submit a proposal. Why then you are developing the idea? We will always be there for you. You would be able to contact myself, Jesmond, Jennifer, and if you have any difficulties, we can tell you. For example, in the past editions, I had youth coming to me and said, I have these 4 ideas. Which idea would you think best? And obviously, I'm never part of the panel who is evaluating your ideas. So that gives me the freedom to provide you with input. The same Jesmond and the same Jennifer. So that is why we give nearly much more than a month so that you can come back to us and discuss. During the event, what does the event consist? It consists of a pitch. As you may have noticed, the event is about instilling confidence in young people. So if you are a youth who does not have, if you have that confidence, that's great. But if you do not have that confidence, please come forward, and this is a great platform for you to start, because we are there to help you all along the way. You don't have to submit business plans. The focus will be about the pitch. It's a 10-minute, 10-slide live pitch that you will be doing in front of a panel of business experts. We do it in English so that it opens up the participation for everyone. And during the presentation, you should be able to focus on these aspects, the background scope. Obviously, if you have an idea, there would be something that instill you to consider that idea or that particular feature of your idea. Then there is the presentation of the actual idea and how this will be implemented. And also then there is the potential budget and funding and source of finance. And you would tell me, obviously, we will have a specific session, especially for that, which will be conducted by the CEO of J Foundation, who is very, very competent on this matter. But just let me tell you one thing. We are, even if it is a social idea, because what I'm telling is that we are considering spaces for youth. It needs not be simply a business or an entertainment. We already have that or may have that. But you can also do social ideas. But even an idea which is socially oriented needs to be funded, needs to be sustained financially. So it is important that you consider that. And even a source of financing could be fundraising. So if you are a group of youth coming from a parish, coming from outside the parish, but you would have an idea which is basically socially oriented. Eventually, I'm very happy because that is a social entrepreneurship is a very important aspect that I think we need to consider more and more into our communities. But it also needs to be sustained financially. So that is important that you consider this. So please come forward with ideas that are targeted towards the community and towards other youth, which they are not profit oriented, but they have to be sustained financially. So that is an important aspect that, and also the difficulties that you may encounter in the implementation of this idea. So we want you also to be critical about your idea, to say, look, I'm coming forward with this idea, but there could be this difficulty. People may not be prone to change. Even youth may not be prone to certain ideas that you may be proposing. So the winner, as I said, the contest will be done on Friday, 3rd of November. The winner will be announced on Monday, 20th November. That gap in time, it's important because every day if we put, so it's not about presenting your idea, but we do a feature for you on our social media on each one of your ideas. So a feature about your idea will happen afterwards. So you continuously get exposure because it's about you, it's about youth. Winners will be notified, but we're not leaving this simply at that. We do a report. Each panelist will be giving you his or her feedback. So we give you a report with the points obtained on each of the criteria, the points obtained by the winning idea, so you can compare. But also, the important thing about it is that we will provide you with an evaluation. And obviously, you can win 500 euros, which I think it's something interesting. So some, for example, of these youth groups who came forward and who won it, also used it for not there for people who obviously want 500 euros, so it's for you. But some of them used it kind of for their youth group. So it's something which even you can consider. So thank you. There are our contacts there, which you may contact us. There is the info@gozobusinesschamber.org, and there is our telephone number. You can ask for Jasmond or me, and there is the email of Aġenzija Żgħażagħ of Jennifer Campbell. So we are always there to help you and assist you in everything. So even if you, just one last message, even if you are considering it, from past experience, I have found that this is extremely beneficial too. We had youth last year who did not participate in the contest, but who attended the sessions. So even if you are not simply considering pitching in your idea, but you just want to participate in the sessions, just please feel free to do so. Rebecca, on my part, I'm finished. So if you want to say some concluding words, because I've spoken a lot. So I don't know if you want to invite the youth who are present today just to give some concluding remarks also from their side. So,
thank you very much. As you mentioned as well, I think this would be very beneficial. I am speaking as a youth worker here, and I do believe that young people would gain multiple life skills, especially from the coaching sessions as well, even by participating in the contest as well. If you would like to contact us, apart from that email from Jennifer, you can also follow social media, Aġenzija Żgħażagħ, and Jennifer as well has her Facebook page for the youth worker account, where you can message her over there. And she has been a crucial part, I would say. As you mentioned as well, she puts her heart and soul into this. Thank you.
I don't know if there are youths. I think there is a question. Maybe we can open.
Yes, I can read the question. So we have a question from Elenia Vella. Good morning, my name is Elenia Vella, Unit Manager at the Job Seeking Advisory Services within Jobs Plus. If we had to organize an online information session to youth, would you be up to it? I am sure that most would not know about this.
All right, so that's good news to hear. On my part, Rebecca, I would really like to thank the youth. I really enjoyed hearing them, for me, for us. It is always a great learning experience, this youth. It is the event which I think it is the event which is the event which takes the most time on our part, but we really believe in it. And it is always great meeting these youth who come up with such great ideas every year. Thank you.